Hello there to all of those here in Shelby County in Indiana, and also to our live stream attendees on Facebook. Welcome to our presentation. We're here in Shelby County as the Indiana Attorney General's office, to present to you the reasons behind and the importance behind a lawsuit that we're filing here in Shelby County. It regards this insidious chemical that is referred to as PFAS, and we're going to lay out here the examples of what the lawsuit will accomplish, and also, how long this has been going on and the importance of this generally. We're going to have a few attorneys come on, but another thing is that the Consumer Protection Division of our office has been completely instrumental in helping out here. And then to give you all the details, I have the man himself. Please welcome Attorney General Todd Rokita.
Yeah, just put it around there. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Ben Fearnow, that's our communications director. I also want to thank Scott Barnhart, who is behind me. He is the head of our Consumer Protection Division, one of the largest in the Office of Attorney General, and we'll get to him a little bit later. I also want to thank Betsy Donardi, special counsel with our office, who was instrumental in helping put together this lawsuit and will continue in her leadership role on this lawsuit going forward. I also want to thank our outside counsel. Our office uses outside counsel in various matters and in various ways often. And the Taft Law Firm has special experience and knowledge in this area, Jonathan Pollock, others, partners in that firm. And so we are expecting and have already benefited, the state of Indiana has already benefited tremendously from their help. I want to thank the commissioners here in Shelby County, the mayor of Shelbyville, Mr. Ferguson, of course, and the courthouse staff here for being so welcoming and helping us with today's events. I also want to thank the citizens who have joined us here today. As some of you already know, our office can be quite outspoken, but you can never be too outspoken when it comes to protecting the safety and health of our family, friends, and our neighbors all across the state of Indiana. Brought here today, as Ben alluded to, because of some insidious and water-resistant chemicals derived from combining the words per and polyfluoroalkyl, So per and polyfluoroalkyl. These substances are better known today by their abbreviated name, PFAS. But there's nothing abbreviated about PFAS. In fact, these pervasive substances are referred to as, quote, forever chemicals, unquote. They resist grease, oil, water, and heat, meaning they never break down, and their toxicity remains with us basically forever. In fact, PFAS has been around since the 1920s, and in fact, their toxicity is becoming clearer and clearer now every day. The movie you may have seen, Dark Waters, put a national spotlight on these chemicals, and we learned over the years that these forever chemicals are everywhere. Our mission, so this is not specific, even though we're in Shelby County today, this is not specific to Shelby County or Shelbyville. In fact, you can see that IDEM has already tested over 20 counties. They're here in yellow, and various military sites that I'll get into in a little bit. And there's more testing surely to come, especially now with today's announcement by the Environmental Protection Agency that they have published rules surrounding testing and other related matters. Our mission is to make sure that those who knew, particularly the companies involved that doubled down, you can see some of them here in the first page of the lawsuit we filed today in Shelby County, that those who knew, the companies involved that doubled down on the spread of these harmful chemicals, pay back through remediation, cleanup, and educating everyday Hoosiers about the products that they were handling. I know the media doesn't always cover conservatives speaking up about the environment, but hopefully they will have no option to spin this legal action. The fact is, you can't truly be a conservative unless you are willing to reasonably conserve God's green earth based on known facts, not ideology. And what we know as fact is that PFAS are dangerous. We care about you, we care about your family, and we care about your health. We want to make this clear. The case focuses on manufacturers who knew they were dealing with toxic chemicals. This does not affect farmers or landowners, and it does not hold them liable for any contamination on their property. And this lawsuit does not involve manufacturers of products, appliances, utensils that may have had PFAS in them. This lawsuit concerns the manufacturers of the chemicals themselves. We're filing here in Shelby County today following a 2022 investigation at the Shelbyville Army Aviation Support Facility. They found that PFAS contamination was likely caused by aqueous film forming foam, otherwise known as AFFF, aqueous film forming foam, a product used for firefighting training and emergency response, and it's unacceptable. Our office is incredibly grateful for our firefighters and all our first responders as they protect each and every one of us every day. And now we need to look out for them. For decades, companies have deceived regular everyday Hoosiers and hid the research showing that their products were in fact extremely dangerous. And they did it while making millions of dollars in profits. PFAS is an umbrella term for many types of toxins. The EPA, in fact, identified more than 12,000 types and has concluded that exposure to PFAS may lead to numerous negative health effects such as cancer, infertility, and childhood development issues. National blood sampling by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has found PFAS in the blood of nearly every person tested since 1999. Around the state, we know Grissom Air Reserve Base and Fort Benjamin Harrison, for example, are also contaminated as a result of AFFF, with elevated levels of PFAS detected in soil, sediment, surface water, and/or groundwater near fire training areas, fire stations, and aircraft hangars. Landfills receive sewage sludge, waste from contaminated sites, and discarded consumer goods, most of which contain PFAS. If those landfills are unlined, these forever chemicals may leach into groundwater, surface water, and soils, and can negatively impact other natural resources. This issue obviously caught our attention, and through further research, we found that sampling conducted by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management revealed levels of PFAS above EPA health advisory levels in public drinking water in the following counties, which are indicated here in yellow. That doesn't mean that testing, like I said before, is over. Bartholomew, Carroll, Cass, Clark, Crawford, Decatur, Elkhart, Floyd, Gibson, Harrison, Jackson, Jefferson, Johnson, Lake, LaPorte, Madison, Marion, Perry, Posey, Scott, St. Joseph, Sullivan, Vigo, and Warwick are all counties that have shown testing above acceptable levels. Testing in, like I said, testing in these and other counties should continue now that the EPA has published rules, in fact, just today. We hope this suit will ensure Hoosiers that we're looking out for your health and your safety. Individuals have their own rights, though. I want to be clear about that. So if you feel you've been harmed by PFAS, you shouldn't rely on this lawsuit. Please seek private counsel, and please do it quickly. Our mission is to make sure that those who knew about this danger, those manufacturers, particularly the companies involved, and doubled down on the spread of these harmful chemicals, pay back through remediation, cleanup, and improvement from the way they deceived everyday Hoosiers about the products they're handling. We can't be your personal attorney. But before we take questions, and I'm happy to do so, I want to turn the microphone over to Scott Barnhart, who I introduced earlier. He's the head of our Consumer Protection Division. Our CPD division, as we call it, is one of our largest divisions. It's dedicated to protecting consumers from deceptive and predatory business practices. Their role is fundamental to our office and to our service to you. Through Scott's leadership, we help consumers with issues related from everything from car dealers to landscapers to roofers to big tech, and of course, patient privacy as well as other professional licensing issues. Scott, thank you for your longtime service to the state, and please say a few words about the division and this lawsuit.
Thank you, AG Rokita. This lawsuit is particularly important to consumers because it is effectively 12,000 chemicals, PFAS chemicals. That is 12,000 opportunities or more for consumers to interact with these products. And it's important because the defendants in this case misrepresented or failed to disclose the health risks, the environmental degradation arising from the normal use and disposal of these PFAS-containing products. So in terms of these have been used for many, many years, and the consumers didn't have the opportunity to understand exactly how impactful these chemicals were on their day-to-day lives, whether it impacted their drinking water, the wells that they draw water from, or their farms. So from that standpoint, it is particularly impactful on the Consumer Protection Division. The Consumer Protection Division is one of the largest divisions in the Office of the Attorney General, and it oversees in terms of claims related to consumers that impact and harm consumers in a meaningful way. And these products that folks use every day have impacted them in a way that they didn't fully understand because of the company's misrepresentations and failure to disclose the health risks. So for those reasons, this is particularly important litigation and one aspect of a larger global litigation that is going on against these particular companies. With that, thank you.
Happy to take questions.
All right.
We're happy to take questions.
We're going to take some questions here. We had them emailed in, and if there's anyone in here, I will turn around here in a second. I'm going to take a few from email and from the Facebook Live. I'm going to try and keep this simple. And let's see here. So we have Casey Smith from our favorite, the Indiana Capital Chronicle. She asks, was there a particular impetus for the lawsuit? How long has the AG's office been looking into PFAS?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Months, if not over a year. I can't give you the exact date, but and there are other lawsuits around the country going on too, including some multi-district litigation. I would say that even though we filed in Shelby County under our Deceptive Consumer Sales Act statutes, which we file a lot of lawsuits on, there is I wouldn't say an option, there's a possibility that the suit gets removed to federal court and then it becomes part of the many other lawsuits that are going on around the country right now regarding PFAS issues. Scott?
Yeah, this litigation has been going on for
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay.
For years, and so from that standpoint, the Taft law firm that is one of our outside counsel, in addition to Kelly Dry, has been litigating this issue for some time. It has been on the Consumer Protection's radar for a significant amount of time. The reason why we're filing today is because we want to do our due diligence to understand the impact that this has had on Indiana and to make sure that we have the information we need to pursue this lawsuit and pursue it successfully.
Okay, Casey has a follow-up question which has to do with the defendants or the people listed in the lawsuit here particularly. Is it possible to attribute particular areas of contamination around the state to specific companies? For example, PFAS contamination has been found at the Shelbyville Army Aviation Support Facility, but the lawsuit doesn't necessarily say what company or companies might be at fault. How is this determined?
Well, a lot of it will be determined through discovery yet to come, but know that our lawsuit has focused mainly on the firefighting material and particularly at government or military installations. That doesn't, like I said in my remarks, mean that PFAS has unfortunately been a part of all of our lives, perhaps for a very long time. And the lawsuit may evolve to include others and other companies at this time. But as I think your question, Casey, would be answered perhaps as discovery continues. But what we do know is that these companies listed, and there's over 20 of them, were definitely involved in the manufacture of PFAS as it was used in firefighting and similar applications. Scott, I don't know if you have anything.
No, I think in terms of this, the litigation process is a process, and these are allegations that we're raising, and the defendants will have the opportunity in court to respond to those. This is a very complicated area of the law, so from that standpoint, there's more to come on that front.
Okay, we have a few questions here. So Lauren from Greenwood here asked, how exactly are these chemicals released into the environment?
Yeah, so they're dangerous because people are ingesting them. Remember I talked about the AFFF, the aqueous film forming foam that's used in firefighting training and emergency response at military and industrial facilities, airports, and other locations. Consumer products, including personal, family, and household products like Stainmasters, Scotchgard, and Teflon. PFAS released from industrial facilities and other sources, that's another way it gets in. The use and or disposal of these products results in PFAS migrating into the environment. For example, the AFFF use directly causes contamination of the soil, the groundwater, and other resources where it's used. This is the foam that's sprayed to contain a fire, and it obviously leaches into the ground. And then, like I said earlier, landfills receive sewage sludge, they waste from contaminated sites, and discarded consumer goods. So most of these items contain PFAS as well. Even if those landfills are unlined, then there's also leaching into the ground and migration potentially into groundwater.
Now we have another question for Josh from Boone County. Asked, will people who were affected be paid back for medical bills?
Right. Well, that's to come. What our goal here is to is really twofold. We want to get damages for sure, but we want to change the behavior as well. So there's injunctive relief that we seek. There's damage relief that we seek. Much like our opioid settlement, much like the asbestos settlements long ago, much like the tobacco settlements, this isn't about, nor would it be effective for paying everyone's medical bills. Because if there was a recovery from a monetary perspective, the amount given to each person individually might be very minuscule and therefore not helpful. So we'll just have to wait and see, but you should, if you feel that you have been made ill in one way or another by PFAS, like I said earlier, you should also be seeking your own private counsel. Scott, I don't know if you have anything.
No, that's exactly right.
I'm going to try and combine this question here. This comes from the Facebook thing from Cat Ping, looks like Lindsay Hack, which lends to the manufacturers versus the distributors. The question is, how soon will these chemicals be purged from commercial shelves for purchase? Are they still available for purchase?
Scott?
Yeah, so these chemicals, in terms of, we still use them. The issue that we're bringing here today is not in terms of their use. It's the misrepresentations that the company made about their toxicity and the dangerousness of these chemicals. So from that standpoint, this is not a lawsuit to say that we're trying to ban PFAS related products. It is a lawsuit against the companies and manufacturers on misrepresentations on the dangers that these chemicals presented to consumers and others.
Yeah, and to add a little color to that, as this lawsuit, like the other ones, as this progresses, there's going to be experts. It's one of those lawsuits that has experts on both sides. There'll be experts that say that the level used was toxic, as we allege, and we have evidence for what we allege. But there will no doubt be experts and others on the other side that represent these companies that will say, oh, no, that's fine, and humans have been living with this for a while. I don't know what they're going to say, but this is usually how these things go. What our point is that regardless of the fight over the level of toxicity, the fact is these companies knew what they had.
Really appreciate you being here and taking on this tough issue. With all the research out there and the widespread of everything from the products through everything, I see years in the courts, and but I appreciate Indiana stepping up and forcing that. And so, what can we do locally? Is it a serious matter? Do we warn the public, don't drink the water? How serious? Because this is going to take years. It's going to affect millions of people around the area. So what can we do today to make it maybe,
Yeah, thanks for that
safer?
question. That's a great question. I appreciate it. We're not here to be alarmists. We're not here to do anything like that. We don't have the evidence to say even that the water here, whether it's in this county or the others that are highlighted or any of our counties, that the water is undrinkable or anything like that. This is not that situation. But what we need to be doing and what local leaders can do is demand that IDEM do further testing to see what we have. That would be helpful to the lawsuit. That would be helpful to Hoosiers' own safety. Like I said, we're here in Shelby County because of, where is it? The Shelbyville Army Aviation Support Facility. PFAS was detected. Tests at the facility revealed contaminant levels that were 670,000 times higher than proposed federal maximums. That's a lot. And that's enough under our Deceptive Consumer Sales Act to go and sue these counties sue these companies for what they knew and didn't tell us. That's what this is about. I don't have other information to tell you that the water is undrinkable or anything like that at this time.
And I would add to that, in terms of if you're purchasing a house with a well, get it tested. And in terms of, you can share that information with us, with our office. That is evidence that we could potentially use from a testing standpoint to see whether your well water has PFAS in it and what levels of PFAS the well water has. So from that standpoint, I agree with AG Rokita, but at the same time, in terms of if you are concerned, there are certain things you can take initiative and ownership as an individual and as a consumer and take certain steps.
Well, IDEM, how do you prioritize that for like our mayor?
Sorry.
Let's say
One sec.
mayor, okay. Let's say our mayor or city council or our leaders here in this county, where do we get the funding, or how do we do IDEM? Because you know how that is. How can we get them out here and do what we want them to do? Is that going to cost us? Is it going to state be mandated? Or that's what I like to see. Priorities. If we've already discovered this, let's look here and go from there. So I don't know how that would work.
Want to take it first?
Go ahead.
Well, I would just say I'm encouraged by the EPA regulations published today that give us, everyone, some more direction on what the testing should look like, how it can be done. In terms of paying for it, maybe there's some federal funding, maybe the state can have some money. This is an important issue, and so we should prioritize it. And I'd be an advocate for that for sure. Because we have to know what we have and don't have. I think that's really important at this point. So I don't think we should not test because we're worried about who would pay for it. I think we should get the testing done. And certainly, as Scott says, it's good evidence for us to have the results of those tests and the bill for those tests as well.
We take one more here. Amanda for Plainfield had asked about the strength of the lawsuit and whether the companies have been cooperative.
I don't want to say the companies have been uncooperative because that would be unfair and that's not necessarily true, but this is the beginning of a lawsuit. So Scott may have some more details in terms of what our investigation yielded and how cooperative they were, but at this point, most are just learning about it, I would imagine.
Yeah, and we're early on in litigation, and it is litigation, and so in terms of companies understand what litigation is all about, and to our knowledge, they've been cooperative in the process. So from that standpoint, it is a process, and we are at the very early stages.
I can add that in terms of other litigation around the country, they are in talks of settling it. Now, those settlements discussions can go either way, and who knows if it's actually going to happen. But that's in the public news. At least, so we'll have to see where our case goes.
And the follow-up here is, I'm just going to answer that. It's the names of the companies you will be able to find are on our website. You'll be able to see the whole lawsuit and each defendant on that. You'll be able to find that on the Indiana Attorney General official website. And with that, I believe we're going to wrap this up. Thanks to the questions here on Facebook, and thanks to the live stream, and I'll give the final word to the Attorney General.
No, I want to thank everyone for attending. Again, I thank the citizens of this county. I appreciate working for all Hoosiers. I thank the leadership in this county and in this city for everything they're doing. And I look forward to serving the people of Indiana, and we'll get through this lawsuit. The gentleman from the audience asked a good question about what to expect. Lawsuits all the time are long baseball games. And this is the top of the first. So, but we fight diligently. We see everything through, and we'll do this like we've done in all our cases. We'll do the same here. Thank you very much.